showing you how to seal your diff and do a flush on it. So you've got your 14 bolts all the way around here. You've got a couple dowels. All of this is just your liquid gasket here. Typically your differential will be full of fluid, so I set it up on something like this so that when I took it all apart that the fluid would just drain right out. But what I'm doing here is I'm taking a razor blade and slowly just trying to scrape away all the excess stuff. I'm going to take a pick and get all this stuff out. When you go to reseal, I'll show you, you want to grab this. You don't want to use Subaru gasket. You want to grab Honda Bond. So the difference between using this versus the Subaru stuff is, from my knowledge, that Honda Bond doesn't break as easily and flake off inside of the differential. So this stuff is it's like a, not necessarily a thicker material, but it just has a better bonding material, so it doesn't flake off and crack off when you squish it down and go into your diff. It's just easier to work with. So show you here, razor blading, getting it done. All right, so I got the casing clear and real nice. So just use some brake clean on the rag. Tried to get away any of the excess stuff, and seemed to be working pretty well. If you got leftover, that's okay. You'll have to brake clean all the little excess, little niblets out of here. But you'll do the same thing on the differential itself. So I'm probably gonna get that onto a desk or something. Work on it there so I'm not doing it on the ground. Definitely try to clean around these dowels very well. Get like your brake clean in your rag and try to make sure these are pretty clean, because if those are all gummed up and gunked up, it is not going to want to sit well. But yeah, you can just take your brake clean, your rag, and dig in there with your razor blade, and you should be able to get it pretty decent. Also, while you're working this, it might seem like common sense, but you'd be surprised how stupid people are. Try to, as you're razor blading, push it outwards and away from, rather than going inwards, even though it's easier, because why would you take all your RTV and shove it back in here, and now you gotta brake clean it and dust it all back out, when you can just work it all outwards and make sure you clean your razor blade. To do these things, I'm using a little wire brush tool like this. You could probably use a razor blade or just a microfiber or something and try and get those out, but this thing seems to work extremely well. Gets them super clean. You definitely want to do this, or try to get in there as much as you can. Get out as much of old RTV as you can. It's just going to make your life a lot easier, and probably less headache and or future going in here and doing this twice, which is exactly what you do not want to do. I cleaned everything off now. Put the drain plug back in, have it sitting upside down, just try and drain everything out of it. All the brake clean and all that stuff. So I'll put the drain plug in, I'm gonna flip it back over. I'm going to apply my Honda Bond on here, and then we're gonna seal it back up. All right, I have my Honda Bond ready to go. What you're gonna do is you're going to do a nice even line and go on the inside of all of these. Don't go on the outside, go on the inside. Do a nice thin bead, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my finger and smooth it out. Some people don't do this. Some people just let the cover smooth it out, or push it and flatten it out. I'm gonna smooth mine out by hand and make sure nothing gets on the inside. All right, little bit of a trial and error, cutting it shorter and shorter and shorter, just so that I've got it a little bit thicker. But something like this, and then I'm gonna take my finger and smooth it out as even as I can. I don't have too much on here, not too little, not too much. Just enough, I think, to make a good seal. And then you're going to take all your 14 bolts, thread them back in, and you're going to do a crisscross pattern just like you do your wheels. So don't crank one down, get them all snug, crisscross the whole way, and then as you keep going you're going to tighten them all, still crisscross. You never want to do these in a circle or else you're going to have it seal uneven. Alright, your torque spec on these is going to be 35 foot-pounds. After you torque everything, you're going to want to set up either your jack, or I'm using a motorcycle jack. Set it up like this. From what I've seen, people say you got to put the axles in before you add fluid. I don't really know why fluid doesn't come out of there, but I guess in case when it if it overfills at all, it can just spill out of there. But got your 2 new crush washers on there, got it all set up here. So I'm going to fill it up with some diff fluid. I don't know where I set the bottle at, but it pretty much just takes 1 bottle of diff fluid. Taking her time. You're going to torque these to spec. These are going to be about 43 foot-pounds, and then the ones up front right there, those ones are like 76 foot-pounds. So got it all taken care of. Now I'm going to install the axle. If you didn't know, the easiest way to do your axle install is to just take out the caster arm bolt and the lower control arm bolt, and then everything else, the whole hub and knuckle, swivel out of the way entirely, and then you just kind of play with it up and down and left and right until you can fit this in here, and then it just slides right through, and I'll show you here right now. Take some pressure off of it. 1, number 2. Swivel it out of the way. And it is as easy as that. Then put your knee back on that bolt. Not on the bolt, on the bottom of the knuckle. Put your lower control arm bolt in. There it goes. I completely forgot to add or finish this video or add an ending. So here I am now finishing it on my couch. So all that was left, I'm pretty sure, was to just put the axle nut on and torque it to spec, make sure everything was good, and do it on both sides. And that was it. So catch y'all in the next one.